It's the 1990s hatchback grudge match between the might of General Motors and the Vauxhall Astra, Opel in other markets, and huge American conglomerate Ford and their Escort Mk6, both on sale in the mid-1990s. Which one would you choose? My name's Ian, this is Hubnut, and we truly celebrate the average. Very well represented here. I'm looking forward to putting these two through their paces. In terms of styling, both of them play it very safe, I think, but each has its own distinctive style. The Ford has opted for the notchback style. So they're both 5-door hatchbacks, but we've got a slight notch on the back of the Escort. And it is much facelifted from the original Mark V. We've got the rounded rear end with the round rear lights. Something they didn't carry over to the Cosworth. So practicality quite good on both cars. The Astra goes more for the slope back style of hatchback, so doesn't have the notch. But both of these were available as saloons. Initially the Escort was an Orion, but by the time the Mk6 came along, they were all badged as Escorts, just to simplify matters. Similarly, Mark II Vauxhall Astra saloons were initially called Belmonts before they just started calling them Astras. But the Mark III Astra came out in 1991, just after the Mark V Escort, on which the Mk6 is heavily based. And the Mark V was off the pace. It was just not a good car. We've got the strong styling crease, and the overall shape is still very much of the Mark V. It was disappointing to drive, disappointing engines, and just overall rather lackluster. Whereas the Mark III Astra had sharp styling, it's had some really good engines, and it really took the battle to Ford. And yeah, overall probably a better bet back in the day, but we are now many years further on, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they compare. Ford spent a fortune improving the Mark V Escort into the Mk6 because of cars like this and the Peugeot 306 and the Mark III Golf. They wanted to make it much better. Did they succeed? And is this now a very close head-to-head? I apologise for both cars being dirty. We live in Wales. Dirt is everywhere. Under the bonnet of this pair, things could not be more different, really. It's slightly unfair because this is around the last of the old Family 1 engines in the Astras. It came out in 1979. Overhead cam, 8 valves, very strong, very simple, apart from a tendency to wipe out camshafts. But yeah, it's a very strong engine and quite easy to work on, lots of space around it. This one has single point fuel injection. It's like an electronic carburetor, and it puts out a whopping 59 brake horsepower. Steady now, but it's a nice engine. It's nice and smooth and quiet and pulls well. We'll just take in the brake position, everything on the driver's side of this right hand drive example. If we contrast that with a Ford, it looks like it should be a lot better. We've got a twin cam 16 valve 1.6 litre engine, 4-cylinder again, but with multi-point fuel injection, I think. Or is that a single point? Maybe it is a single. It kind of looks a bit like one throttle body. And the same McPherson strut front suspension as the Astra, but note the braking is over on this side. This big bar down there, that circular bar going left to right, takes the brake pedal effort over to the brakes on this side of the car. Volkswagen also did something very similar on their cars. There's still lots of space to work on it, not quite as much as the old Vauxhall over there. But yeah, timing belt must be a bit more interesting. It's all a bit tight, but the Zetec engine was a bit of a leap forward, and Ford needed it because Ford was behind the game. Its CVH engines were known for being a bit rough and not all that good. The Zetecs were a transformation, but by the time this one was built, these would have been on the Ecotec 4-cylinder engine, which was a bit more advanced again, multi-point fuel injection and a bit more power. But we're comparing what we have, and we have 59 brake horsepower over here and 90 brake horsepower over here. So that must feel a lot quicker. We shall start aboard the Astra. The Astra has the least miles of the two, but they're both pretty low for their age. We got under 40,000 here, just, and under 58,000 here, again, just. But quality test, yeah, feels pretty solid. Nice feel to the door handles. The interior is a jazzy old place. Look at that. Quite smart in here. Good bolsters on the seat, but otherwise acres of black plastic. If we jump aboard, one thing I really love in the Vauxhalls is lovely clear dials, and they're just nice. They're nothing fancy, but they're nicely styled. Airbag, steering wheel, of course. We've got Philips stereo, but it's built into the car, so the display is up here when you turn it on. So there you go. Oh, Jeremy Vine, run away. I've left the date just for amusement factor. And hazard lights, nice and obvious there. Almost a ringing indicator, and nice heater controls. They've got a nice quality feel to them. Doesn't sound very quality, but it does feel it. They feel nice and tight and functional. Gear lever sits a little further back than the Ford, and it's got a nice action on it. Quite a long throw on the gear lever and on the clutch. The clutch has quite a long travel on it. Very, very Germanic. Cigarette lighter, obviously. Glove box for stashing your books in variously. Electric front windows. We got a tilting and sliding sunshine roof. Handbrake falls nicely to hand down here. Seatbelt pre-tensioners. Light control over here on the Vauxhall, and electric window switches sensibly here on the door handle. A far better place for them, and that would be electric mirrors if you had such fancy kit. But I mean, generally the specification is very similar to the Ford, with one addition down here. We've got a little windy handle for driver's seat height adjustment. But yeah, the driving seat's okay. Vauxhall seats of this era are always a bit flat and firm, I find, but it's a nice enough driving position. I've driven quite a few hours in this car and felt it very, very comfortable. Let's see how the Ford compares. First impressions, yeah, that's not great, but the door shuts with a nice solid funking noise. Not so jazzy in here, a bit more plain old grey, but if we hop in, we've got the dials ahead of us, and I don't love them as much. I find the needles a bit spindly, and they're floodlit. There's a light up here that shines down on the dash, which means it lights up all the surround as well. Hazard lights right in front of you right here. Just a business-like click, but the heater controls feel a little more flimsy, I think. And I don't love the style. It just feels a little under-styled in here. The electric windows are down here, which I don't like. I don't think the passenger should have their hand anywhere near the controls, handbrake and gear lever. But they put it here for laziness, because you need less wiring, because it's just got switches that both front occupants can use. And then you got the boot release, which only works when the engine is turned off, which means because there's no external release, you always have to have the engine off to open the boot. Very, very irritating. But the clutch on this one is quite heavy. Interestingly, there's a cable and an adjuster in the boot, but it's a lovely snickety gear lever. My only complaint is, for me, first gear is a bit of a stretch away. Could have just been a little further back. Maybe if they got rid of these stupid switches, they could have done that. But I will say I do like the heater controls. You'll note there's no face vents. Whatever setting you're on, you can always turn the vents on manually. That is not seen enough. That is nice. And we've got a nice clock here. These are your buttons to adjust it. This looks a bit low rent. Your flashing security light. And I will say I don't like the stalks as much. I think the stalks are a little cheaper in the Ford. And there's your fog light switches over on this side. The mirrors look tiny, but they're actually really effective. They're very good on the motorway, and overall visibility is good. We've still got a tilt sliding sunroof. Specification wise, very similar to the Vauxhall. We quickly forgot the indicator stalk comparison. These aren't amazing stalks, but they've got quite a nice feel to them. I like the feel of the actions, and of course they were used in TVRs as well, and I think some Aston Martins, so more cool points. In terms of comfort though, this one's going down to Ford, so even though it doesn't look quite as nice in here, it's a really nice place to sit. The seat is so supportive and so comfortable. My only slight grumble is that on long journeys I find my throttle foot is a bit under supported, and it's almost like the throttle pedal is a bit too high. I would like some height adjustment on the seat. It is denied me in the Ford. I only get it in the Vauxhall. Moving to rear seat accommodation, let's hop in with a seat set for me. And the Astra has plenty of space, nice cutouts in the back, but we haven't got any document storage in the back of the front seats. A bit of an oversight in a family car. Just having more places to store things is always a good thing. Let's shut the rear door. We are manual windy in the back. How far down? That far down. That's kind of plenty really. And we've got height adjustable seat belts in the back, which is a bit unusual and very welcome. We've also got an armrest in the back here and a ski hatch, so you can grab items from the boot. It's really handy, not for skis I find, but store your drinks there and then your occupants can readily grab them as you're going down the road on your family trip. No head restraints in the back though, perhaps a bit of an oversight where before such things became more common. Let's see how the Escort compares, and it's not too bad. I thought that was going to be really tight at first. We've got the document storage, but we're plain old vinyl on the back. Perhaps no bad thing in a family car, because it'll take a bit more abuse. And headroom seems okay, although only just. And the headliner is starting to sag a little back here. No armrest, no height adjustable seat belts, but I do get a head restraint. So that is a considerable improvement really if you're carrying people on a regular basis. In terms of boot space, obviously the big advantage for the Astra is you just press the button and open the boot. It's not that difficult. Why can't the Ford do that? Yeah, it's a really good size. We've got the door trim we replaced floating around back in here, and under the floor we'll find a full-size wheel and something of a toolkit. Not so much paint, they didn't bother painting down here, but yeah, that's plenty of space for your family jaunts, I should think. And obviously if it wasn't, go for a saloon or estate. Now from a security point of view, the Ford is better because even when the car's unlocked you can't open the boot, but it's annoying that you have to get the key or press the release in the middle of the car every time you want to open the boot. That just feels old-fashioned and frankly a bit rubbish. I appear to have left some in the boot, but again it's a nice generous size. It perhaps a little longer than the Astra, and again if we pull up the floor, full-size spare wheel and some tools floating around in there as well as clutch gubbins. Intriguing. Another failure point on these Escorts is this pad here, which is electrical contacts. So rather than a wiring loom, there are some looms going through here. The wiring uses these things, but connections can often fail and it can lead to heated rear window and rear wiper oddities, shall we say. But yeah, both have a lot of space on offer for cars that don't take up an awful lot of road space. We shall start up the Astra. No choke or anything like that, of course. We are fully automated. Sounds good. What's the wiping performance like? Obviously a very important question. So give it a wash. There we go. Good wiping pattern. We have got a triangle of doom. That may be my fault. I may have a slightly too large passenger windscreen wiper. But no dribbles of disappointment going on, so we're all good. But yeah, in terms of all the controls, everything falls to hand nicely. There's a mist function where you just lift the stalk a bit to get a single wipe, always like that. Rear wiper activated by pushing backwards, push further back for the wash. So we shall get belted in and we shall go for a drive. Obviously nice light power steering makes it an absolute doddle. But I will say, as we'll hear once we've got it warmed up, the Vauxhall engine is a good one. Into the Escort and fire her up. Straight away, I think the engine sounds a bit coarse. It doesn't quite have that rasp of the Vauxhall. All Vauxhall engines of that era, the overhead cam engines, I think sound absolutely fantastic. But let's get on to, oh, that's the rear wash. Silly me. You push the button on the end of the stalk for washing this car, and apparently you have to wipe yourself. But good overlap, no triangular doom here. A nice wiping performance. I will do all the lights and the rear wipers in a separate bit towards the end, so don't worry folks, we will get there. Into gear, heavy clutch. I don't think it could have been that heavy from new, so whether something's a bit worn, I don't know. The clutch bites a lot harder than the Astra is quite soft, but away we go. Let's see how this one compares. Right, engine warmed up, out on the open road. Let's give her the beans. Lovely grr. Is it fast? No, but it sounds so willing and smooth and quiet. And then we'll go to fifth because we're at 60 miles an hour now. And it's a pretty peaceful place to be, really. There's not too much road noise, there's not too much wind noise. Ambient levels a bit more than you'd expect from a modern car, perhaps. But this is the problem. Being only a 1.4 with 58 brake horsepower at a high torque, you show it a hill, it starts losing speed. We're in fifth gear, so we're still pulling along 55 miles an hour, but it becomes a real struggle to keep your momentum up on hilly roads. And there's more bad news as well, because the steering is not great. It's vague, it's really dead feeling. It just seems to need too much turning, almost as if the power assisted a manual rack. It's really not good. Mixing the fact the brakes are wooden, the ride can be a little lumpy at times, and yeah, it's not a sports car. Handling is not its forte. It's not awful. I mean, it goes round the bends, but it doesn't really beg you to chuck it in. You're not rewarded with fine body control, and it just doesn't feel fun. In terms of gearing, quite similar to the Escort. So motorway speeds, you're looking at about 3,000 revs, which I find odd. The Escort has so much more power and a fair dollop more torque. It could probably pull taller gearing, to be honest. But the Astra seems to be geared absolutely spot on. And this gearbox, it is nice to use, even though the lever has to travel a bit more and you've got that long travel clutch. But yeah, the brakes are quite wooden feeling. And that is actually shared with the Escort. They don't feel very encouraging. I think offerings from the likes of Citroën offered a little bit more, and I'm not even on about the hydro pneumatics. I think a Citroën Zara, a bit more handling sparkle and more accomplished braking. This is fine. There's nothing overly wrong with it. It's just, I guess I expect a bit more, really. But again, would most people notice if they made it handle so much more better? Probably not. Your average driver doesn't really care. They just want to know it'll get you around the bend, and it does that. It behaves. We've got this one on excellent Laufen tyres, which are all season tyres, and yeah, certainly not had any grip worries whatsoever. But if we go and take it back up the hill, we'll see it'll probably require a bit more effort. Engine makes all the noise and you're just not moving at all. You just gently gather pace. That's 50. Having to ease off because sight lines. Yeah, the steering, it just, oh, it's not good. It's good for relaxing. It's not twitchy, it's not overly direct, but it just doesn't inspire confidence. It doesn't make you want to really throw it into a bend, because if the wheels started losing grip, you're not sure you'd actually feel it. Shall we see how the Escort compares? That's quick. That's 50 in second. Oh, 60. Yeah, definitely more potent than the Astra, if not alarmingly so, but it is entertainingly brisk, and of course it's backed up by superb steering. The Mark V was re-engineered with Richard Parry Jones heavily involved, a fantastic engineer, and yeah, just the feel of it is it's just lovely. It turns in so nicely. You just require very little input, but it just feels connected. It's still light because it's still power steering, but it's not dead and lifeless like the Astra. It is comprehensively better in that regard. The engine doesn't have much grunt low down. You really do have to wring its neck to experience the difference. But it is nonetheless still quite peaceful in here. I don't think it's as peaceful as the Astra. There's a bit more road and you can really hear the suspension working. And there's a bit more wind noise too. The seal on my window doesn't seem perfect, which isn't necessarily a fair reflection on Escorts as a wider whole. It might just be my example. But again, it's the rear end that lets it down. It's a bit bouncy on the back. Both cars have a beam rear axle with coil spring and dampers, and it's not independent, and you kind of feel it. It is just a bit lumpy in both cars, and when you're really pushing on in the Escort, the back end just feels a bit unconvincing, I shall say. It doesn't feel as planted as the front end. I don't trust this car 100%, although it grips. It's on Hankook Kinergy tyres, which are only a few years old and have very little wear. So you're always confident it's going to get you around the bend, but you don't want to lean on it too hard. But it's good for a little bit of fun. And I have to say, it does sound good when you work it really hard. And the Astra, there isn't really any point in ringing it really hard. It hasn't got that much power at the top end, whereas this, perhaps because of the twin cams, 16 valves, it seems to really come alive above 3,000 revs. And the brakes, they need a good shove, but actually they do feel a little better than the Astra, I'm going to say. I thought they were quite similar, but actually, having jumped out of one into the other, this does feel better when it comes to stopping. Here we go then. Oh, so much quicker. Yep, we're hitting 60 where we were hitting 50 in the Astra, which means I've got to brake harder for the bend then, because I'm then going way too fast. It's almost like turbo lag. If you get it below 3,500 revs, it's a bit like, it doesn't feel like it's got any more go than the Astra. It's when you get it revving, is when it really gets on song. Yeah, this is a transformation compared to the Mark V Escort. In terms of engines, in terms of just sheer driving joy. And one specific failing of the Escort is the rear wiper. I mean, what sort of wiping performance is that? Look how the top corner here is pretty much entirely unswept. I've cleaned up the contacts. The rear wiper does seem to work, which it wasn't when I first collected the car. But yeah, terrible wiping performance on the Escort. I mean, I don't wish to go on about it, but I'm going to. One of the issues is they moved the whole wiper over. So on the Mark V, it was right over here and it gave a much better performance. For some reason they moved it, possibly to stop it interfering with a spoiler position. I'm not sure, but yeah, not good. Whereas the Astra, which does not have Not My Delica part behind it, I like to pause to make sure you get some wash. The only problem is there is no wipe sequence after the wash, so you can only leave it on intermittent. But the wiping performance, I think, is better. It covers more of the screen. It certainly covers more of the screen on my side of it, and I don't think that's a bad wiping performance. I much prefer this style of wiper to the modern tiny through the glass ones that clear almost no screen at all. And I would say also both cars have a disappointing amount of rattles and creaks as you're driving down the road. I think possibly parcel shelf area, because they've got the split rear seats, I don't know. But both of them make more noise than I'm particularly enamoured by. But yeah, I guess I've got to decide which one's actually my favourite. In terms of looks and certainly colour, the Astra wins. This ceramic blue is a lovely colour, it really pops in the sun. Well, we had a little bit at the start, and I just think it's a really nice looking car. I love every detail. The Escort does not please me aesthetically as much, but the Escort pleases me much more from a driving point of view, and ultimately I think that's what's going to sway my mind. If I had to drive one of these as my daily transport, I would choose the Escort, because the steering is just that much sweeter. It makes a big difference, especially on the roads around here. Around town, not so much, but when you're pushing on the bends around here, you want something that feels really nice to steer into the bends, and the Escort has the Astra absolutely licked. It's obviously got more power as well, but it has got a bigger engine. You could get a 1.6 Ecotec in these, I think, which would have a bit more grunt, would make it a bit more of a sporting fight. But ultimately, the win is actually going to the Escort here, which I don't think I necessarily expected when I first got the Astra. But it's been an absolute pleasure to try them back to back. The Astra has by now found a new home in one of our raffles. A sensible person would have got this video out before then for a bit of promo, but this is Hubnut. We don't do things logically. The future of the Escort is still a little unknown. We would like to have some more adventures with it, I think. So that's a hold on raffles for the time being, which I'm sure some people will be very happy about. So do show your support if you're liking what we're doing. Head to the Hubnut store and you can buy beanies like this in less lurid colours if you prefer. Hoodies, mugs, stickers, all available on the Hubnut store. Or check out the Buy Me a Coffee link if you've particularly enjoyed what we've done today. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in a future video. Farewell. Cool. Into the Escort then, and let's fire her up. Oh, it did this yesterday. There we go. For some reason, sometimes it won't start. And I wonder if it's a mobiliser. I don't really know what the thing is.